Hey guys, Luna here, and welcome back to our life. Let's just continue where we left off. Hi, Luna. So, last we left off, basically, this guy here was just trying to crawl through our window. Is everything okay? What happens? I wanted to see you. I figured this was the only way. If I rang the doorbell, I know your moms would answer and then just make me go home. And I didn't really want to explain to why I was coming over anyways. I didn't want to talk about it. Well, besides with you, I mean, but that's why I did that. As unexpected as this was, you were touched. Cove felt like he could tell you what was wrong. I might have tried calling or something, except my dad was on the phone. Cove suddenly looks very cross. Dad, he's talking to my mom. Still is, probably. You raise your eyebrows. Cove had eavesdropped on his parents' phone conversation? I probably would have done that too. Cove shrugged nonchalantly. Yeah, you should talk somewhere private if you want to stay private. Are you going to go stay with your mom for a while again? Every year, Cove was sent off to live with his mom for a few weeks. When it happened varied. Sometimes he would go during winter break, but usually he went during summer. Even though it was hard news when you found he was leaving and you missed seeing him those weeks, you understood. To your surprise, however, he shook his head. That's what I thought too, but no, that's not what they were saying. Interesting. My dad asked my mom not to have me leave this year. He said she could come with us here. Waited him to continue. He didn't. The conversation abruptly dropped off. You couldn't help but stare at Cove. There was a complicated mix of expressions on his face. Is she gonna do that? Yeah. She told him she'll come. I know she's coming soon, before school starts. Oh. You had heard Cove talk about his mom a lot over the years. He'll tell you about past memories or what happened while he was visiting her. Still, it's one thing to hear about someone who's... It still is thing to hear about someone and another to actually meet them. Very soon you're going to see Cove's mom in person. You were taken aback by the news, so you can only imagine how Cove felt. You looked over at him. He was pacing across your room, his features drained, pained with dread. Before they were barely in the same room long enough to have lunch. Now they're going to be back all together again. The three of us. After all this time, just for a few weeks. I know I should probably be happy they can talk to each other now. I'm still not. I'm just confused and freaked out, and I feel like really bad for feeling this way.
Luna!
It's so... His fit is tight and his eyes became misty. I shouldn't keep getting like this. It's been a long time and I'm not a little kid. Though he wouldn't meet your eyes, you knew he was waiting for you to say something. Okay, there's nothing wrong. Sorry, we can deal with this. I come here for you. That's a lot. There's nothing wrong with feeling bad. This is hard to deal with. Cove looked uncomfortable with the whole situation. He didn't want to have to open up to you like this. I can understand. Thanks. Sorry for dumping this on you. I didn't know what to do. You're the only one I could come up with. A momentary silence fell over the two of you. You marveled at how the days started. You'd woken up eager for summer vacation, but now things seemed so crazy. The mini debacle with Mr. Holden's gift, the newest addition to the neighborhood being so rude, and as if all that wasn't enough, now Cove's mom would be living with Cove and his dad again. Your whole life was all like that, it seemed. Complicated and hard and different. Why couldn't things just get better with time? Luna? The sound of your name, said quietly, pulled you from your thoughts. Cove gazed at you, concerned.
Are you okay?
Who, me? I'm more worried about you. You don't have to forget yourself for me. I want to listen to you, too. Cove grinned reassuringly. It was small and delicate, but you knew it was genuine. He had come here conflicted and upset, only to end up worrying about you. He was a really great friend. You know, I don't really want to talk more about this. He looked away, his lips thinning into a line, and rubbed out his arms. But I kind of don't want to go back home either. Could I just stay a little longer, just doing something else? He appeared equal parts hopeful and vulnerable. How could you possibly turn him away? Of course, you can always stay here, Cove. As if he even had to ask. Cove perked up at your response, a smile appearing on his face. You immediately took a seat in your bed, not afraid to get comfortable in your room. You felt a little better at the sight somehow. You still had a lot of worries, but you were glad he was here. And not just tonight, you were glad he came into your life in the first place. That was a change you'd never want to undo. Who would have thought Cove meant so much to you? You certainly had it in the beginning. You had kept your distance, and so had he, and now you consider him to be one of your closest friends. You joined Cove on the bed, taking a seat across from him. He smiled at you again, but you could tell this time it was half-hearted. He's still, easy to read. Not too surprised by that. Though he didn't want to talk about his mom and dad, he must be thinking about what happened and what's about to happen. You hug him. You move close and wrap your arms around him. It wasn't much, but you hoped the contact helped a little. Cove froze up, startled. After a moment, his arms came up and you returned your hug. The two of you remained like that for some time. He might have mumbled something to you, but it was too quiet to tell what it was. When you pulled back, his expression had softened to something more natural. Conversation was stilted and broken often by silence at first. Then both of you were able to get back into your usual candor. As your secret hangout session stretched on, you thought that you truly wanted to keep having moments like this with him. You hoped that a day would never come into your life. It decided the two of you would have to part ways, and you knew Cove felt the same. You opened your tired eyes, groaning as they adjusted to the bright light that was streaming through your window and warming your tan skin. With a loud yawn, you rolled away from the sunlight and blinked a couple times, clearing the sleep from your eyes, before realizing with a start that it was actually morning. You couldn't remember even falling asleep. Cove had crept through your window during the night, and the two of you spent time together trying not to wake your parents. You must have fallen asleep while you were hanging out, but couldn't put a finger exactly when. You wondered how late Cove had stayed before heading home. You rubbed your face and yawned again, contemplating whether you should get out of bed and get ready for the day, or just stay snuggled up for a little while longer, until your gaze landed on instantly unrecognizable mop of pale green hair, and he bolted right up and gasped in surprise. He never left. He was still here, there, in the morning. I'd probably freeze. Your monsters refused to move an inch, and your eyes widened as you stared at Cove's sleeping form in absolute shock. If your mom found out he had slept here the entire night, you both would be in big trouble. Realizing quickly that you need to get Cove out of here before Mom's Elizabeth walked in and found him, you willed your body to get a move on and swung your legs over the side of the bed. That would be funny. No, I don't want to tell you to say. Check your shoulder. After giving him a firm shake on the shoulder, Cove's eyes flew open and woke up with his starts. Yeah, that's probably the best course of action to do at the given moment. He scrambled out of the way as he abruptly jumped to his feet before almost losing his balance and falling back down. He recovered just as quickly as faced you indignantly. Hey! What was that for? Shh! What? The situation dawned on him too before he even finished the word. Cove blinked at you a couple times, his eyes growing in panic as some thought that only he could hear settle in his mind.
Oh my god!
His voice is adorable. Oh my god, I fell asleep! You weren't exactly sure what to do as you watched Cove pacing your room, looking around frantically. Cove's hands flew to his face, letting out a sigh of relief when he found his glasses right where they were supposed to be. Despite that, he hadn't calmed down completely. The atmosphere is still frazzled. Settle down before my moms hear you. Cove nodded, his shoulders tensed as he fixed you with a firm stare with his turquoise eyes. Letting out a heavy sigh, he ran a hand through his hair in expression. He couldn't let you look at you again as he spoke. I'll see you later. You were confused by how all this had played out, but hoped that was true. Yeah, see you later, Cove. At that, you were suddenly wrapped in a tense embrace. As panicked as he was, this seemed to be something he couldn't forget before leaving. Thanks, again. You're a good friend, Luna. He firmly whispered the words into the tap of your shoulder. but you were let go before you had a chance to respond or even fully react. In a matter of seconds, he had climbed over your bed, opened the window. A cool breeze rolled over the ocean, fluttering through Cove's hairs and filling your room with its salty scents. Cove anxiously stepped out over the ledge. You should look. Like, I want him to sneak out the back door, but I feel like that, either going out the window is very dangerous, or going out the back door could get him caught. Good luck, don't fall off my roof. You weren't sure if he heard you or not, but he kept going along, one foot in front of the other with increasing speed until his form disappeared out of the sight. You stuck your head out of the window just as far as you could to try and keep watch. You walked to the full length of the ledge before jumping down to the top of the garage, then lowering himself onto the fence. From there, he finally dropped to the ground. You threw out a thumbs up at a successful climb. He ran off toward his house without stopping, disappearing behind the other side of another building. You had to admit that you were pretty impressed at how doable he made that look. With a little sigh, you reclosed your window, deciding that there's nothing more you could do. You hopped off your bed and got ready to head downstairs for the day. Check yourself in the mirror. I feel like that's the most feasible thing. You certainly look like you just woken up with your brown hair sticking up all over the place. Taking a comb from your bedside table, you attempt to fix and smooth out some of the messy strands. You took down the stairs, slowly attempting to mask your face into a look of innocence. You were sure that someone would have come into your room if they had heard anything strange, but couldn't be too careful. You had to play it cool. When you stepped into the living room, Elizabeth was there, tapping her finger on the counter. Good morning, Elizabeth. She looked out of you immediately, her eyes squinting at the greeting.
Why?
Why are you being so weird? You hadn't even done anything. Your big sister never missed a beat, unfortunately. Your eyes flickered left and right as you sidestepped her and headed toward the kitchen. Luna? Wouldn't you like to know?
Duh.
I would, that's why I asked. You shrugged noncommittally, determined not to tell her a thing. Further suspicions squinting occurred as she waited for something, but ultimately she rolled her eyes as if you weren't sure if you were in trouble or not. She didn't seem to care enough to dig into it any further. Whatever. And then she walked straight out the front door, letting it slam shut behind her, and you let out a brief sigh. Elizabeth went out most days to hang out with her friends from school around town. Today you were extra glad for it, though you were also grateful she hadn't left the house any sooner and risked running into Cove. It looked like you were getting away with that. Breakfast was eaten in peace and alone. Your moms were both out by the time you had gotten up. They had left you serving of food from the breakfast they made. Hash brown. Oh, I love hash browns. They're so good. An omelet, fruit salad, and there are a few sausage links. Let's see here. I passed them some parts because they weren't. Because, like, as much as I like most of those things, like, I do love hash browns. Do like a good fruit salad depending on what food it is. I sometimes like sausage, but like, An omelet, it's an iffy for me. So I pass on some parts because they based on things you don't like. You appreciate that there were varieties of meals your mom's made. The parts you did have were tasty. The day lazily drifted by at home, and eventually your parents returned. You put open the fridge again, lingering in the frosty air for a moment or two before grabbing a bottle of ice water and taking a long drink. It was a perfect, balmy summer afternoon, and you decided to head outdoors and find something to do. You hadn't decided what that something was just yet, but you were sure something would pop up to occupy your time. As you were heading out the front door, you paused a moment. You hadn't seen Cove since he left that morning, and you couldn't help but think about what had happened to him. Would it be bad to go over to his house right now, or to call him to check on him? You stepped out of your house, still stuck in that eternal debate with yourself when a voice caught your attention.
Hi.
Hey, Luna. Confused, you look over to see where an unrecognizable woman was waving at you. A friendly smile passed on her face. You racked your memory for when you might have seen her before, but nothing came to mind. Not your school or from the county club where your moms took you to. You had absolutely no idea who this woman was. The woman crossed the road towards you, and you were a little unsure whether you should stay put or go back into the house and lock the door. I'm guessing this is Cove's mother. Oops, sorry, was that presumptuous? I heard about you, but You have no idea who I am, do you? You shook your head, and yeah, she has Cove's eyes. Shook your head, and she moved her sunglasses to reveal a sparkly ocean blue eyes. All of a sudden, she seemed a little bit more familiar. Yeah. My son lives here, and my ex too. And with a bent smile, she lifted her hand to point out the condo across the street from your house. She was Cove's mom. You didn't know her, or why you hadn't realized sooner, now that you've gotten a good look at her. She was super pretty. Yeah, I like the look. She looks nice. This beautiful lady was Cove's mom. Wow. No matter your thoughts on her, you still felt taken aback that she had appeared here so suddenly. Cove mentioned that she was coming, but you hadn't gotten the impression that it would be the very next day. She extended her hand again, and this time for you to take. You studied the manicured fingers in the front of your face and the assortment of bracelets that dangled from her wrists. I'm Kira Priest. You can call me Kira. I'll shake your hands. You reached out and took her hand, and she shook yours warmly, grinning wide. I'm Luna, but you already know that.
That I do.
Cove's mentioned you to me before. It's nice to officially meet you, Luna. Cove talked to you about his mom. He hadn't mentioned he said things about you to her. What has Cove said about me? Oh, I can't tell you that. I already said too much. He laughed good-naturedly. She laughed good-naturedly. You couldn't be happy about that answer, though. When the sound of the door opening and closing caught both of your attentions, and when you turned toward the sound, it was to find Cove exiting his house, his eyes skimming the grounds. Considering just how tall he's grown, you kind of figured his mom would have also been tall, but she was much more on the short side, for an adult anyways. Cove's height must have come from his father.
My baby!
There you are. I thought you were going to keep me standing out here all day. You tried to catch Cove's eyes as he walked toward you, but his gaze firmly fixed on the sidewalk. When he finally crossed the road and looked up, he gave you a pitiful look. After the way he acted last night, you knew he must be feeling pretty mixed up about this. You tried to wordlessly express that you understood. Cove and I are heading back into town to grab something to eat while the snore is at work. Kriya beamed at Cove and ruffled his hair, which only seemed to upset him more. You assumed the snorer she was talking about was Mr. Holton. Hey, you should come with us, Luna. I'd love to get to know you better. Yeah, you should come. There was a pleading in his tone that you couldn't miss. Of course, we'll run by your parents first, responsibility and all that.
Any whoosies.
It'll give me an excuse to meet them, which I need to do at some point. It's important to be neighborly if I'm going to be rooting on the side of the street for a time being. Anyways, let's go. Kira rocked ahead towards your house, and you hung back with Cove, who crinkled at his nose as you watched her.
Sorry.
I'm sorry about her, but I really do want you to come. I don't want it to be just the two of us. Not right now. You leaned in close and whispered while checking around for anyone who might hear. What happened? Did your dad know you were gone? Cove shook his head and sighed heavily. That was so focused on Mom showing up that he even noticed. I thought when I heard them on the phone last night that it was something they were planning for the future. This morning, Dad said it was supposed to be a surprise, and I guess I was surprised. She's going to be out here all summer. Oh. You're surprised to hear that, too. Cove sighed again, even heavier. I'll go with you if you really want me to. He smiled, his shoulders relaxing a little in relief. Thanks, that would be cool. The two of you headed over to where Cove's mom had just knocked on your front door and stood behind her. Mom answered the door after a minute, her eyebrows lifting in surprise at the group she found in front of her. Realized that, like you, she would have no idea that it was Cove's mom who was hanging out with you. However, after blinking at the woman a couple times and looking between her and Cove, the realization seemed to strike on her. Hi there, I'm Pamela.
I see.
I see you met my kid Luna. I'm guessing you've already known Cove for a while. Kriya laughed, and you and Cove exchanged looks at your parents' weird sense of humor. Kriya Priest, Cove's mom. It's nice to meet you. A head of purple brown hair caught your eye as Mom popped up behind Mom, squeezing herself in beside her. We have company. I was wondering all the commotion was. She grinned excitedly at Kira. The two of them introduced themselves and shook hands.
Hello.
Hi, Luna. Cove. Cove smiled at Ma shyly, and she gestured a hand toward the living room. There's no use hanging around in the doorway. Why don't you come in? I'd love to, but I promised to take my son out to eat, and I wouldn't want to hold you up with a surprise visit. Cove grimaced and held back a groan. He likely took offense at how she didn't want to put them out with a surprise visit, but not to him, apparently. I understand. You're welcome to stop by any time.
Of course.
I'll take you up on the offer when I can. Count on it. Would you mind too much if Luna went with Cove and I? My treat. You won't be driving, just a quick walk down the road. Sure, that sounds nice.
Have fun.
I hope you all have fun. You gave your moms a look, and they smiled at you fondly. You were happy they were letting you go. You could tell that Cove really needed the support, and you were ready to be there for him.
Marvelous.
Expect us to be back in an hour or two. We look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Parents waved goodbye to the three of you as he backed up onto the street. There was the sound of the front door closing behind you. Pretty positive I saw some restaurants when I was in the taxi not too far from here.
Yeah.
It's a tourist town, isn't it? There's a lot of them around. Kira put her hands on her hips and smiled at herself. Well, it sounds like an area. You sound like the area expert. Do you have any recommendations for a place nearby? Not really. Kira pouted at him a little and turned to you instead. How about you, Luna? Want to point me in the right direction? Sure, I have a couple of favorites. You've been to a lot of places in town. There are a couple that stood out from the rest. There's a Chinese restaurant that me and my family go to all the time. It's my mom's favorites. There's a tropical themed place that tries to be sort of fancy. Both sound like a treat. I'll leave it to you to pick for us since Cove's getting through a phase over there. He huffed at her and turned his face away. Does the Cove be included on the decision? You can go through whatever phase you want, but you still gotta say which restaurant really you get Cove. You mumbled sulkily, willing to reject his mom, but not you. I like the tropical place more. That's what I would have gone for too. With 2 votes in favor of one restaurant, it seemed like it was settled. We can go there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luna. Will you show us the way? You nodded, taking the lead of your little group as Cove and his mom followed behind you. Together, the three of you left your neighborhood behind. The walk was about 15 minutes, and along the way, Kira asked a lot of questions about the area. Cove was quiet most of the time, so you ended up answering her instead. Kira explained that she lived in a large city, but she loved how peaceful and relaxing everything seemed in Sunset Bird. This restaurant was super busy as usual, but luckily you were shown right to a small table. Kira lowered herself into a chair, while Cove picked out one diagonal to her, not facing her or to her side. It was just awkward. Let's see, to start with, what would you all like to drink? I'll get an orange soda.
Noted.
Luna? I'll get a juice. I don't really like the fizziness of soda. Which flavor? I'll get a lemonade. Sure. Kira placed placed the order for your drinks, getting a black hot coffee for herself, and it didn't take long before they were brought to the table and set in front of you. You took a long sip of your drink as you looked around the restaurant. Your small group checked over the menus to decide what to order. Last time you came here, the dish you ordered was amazing. You wanted to order something different this time. Kira and Cove didn't need any encouragement for this. They were totally focused on the information in front of them. Soon the meals too were ordered and the menus taken away. You glanced at the table surface, waiting to figure out what to say. Cove looked like this was the very moment he'd been dreading, sinking back further into his seat and crossing his arms. His sour feelings today were unignorable. Instead of asking more open questions, he brushed you off. Kira had mercy on his son and instead put her focus towards you.
So?
Luna, what are a few things you're into? There's gotta be something you do for fun, especially now that you're not buried in school assignments. I do like to read. Let's see. Fiction novels. Me too, nothing beats curling up with a good book. I do also like to read comic books as well. Oh, just like Cove's daddy back in the day. I do like to read manga as well. Hadn't heard that sound, but I'm sure it's very good. Occasionally like to read poetry. Sophisticated by ideas, I see. And sometimes I like to read nonfiction books. But you know about a lot of things then. I don't really like reading magazines. And I spend time on art, drawing. I filled out a lot of sketchbooks. I do enjoy sculpting. We learned how to make clay sculptures at school, and I love doing it ever since. I like creating digitally as well. My computer at home doesn't really have all the programs I need, and I sometimes enjoy visiting galleries. I would like looking at other people's arts, but we only have a small gallery here. I hope one day I can travel to all the big ones. Painting's interesting, but I don't really like it because it's too messy for me. I like to watch TV. It's pretty addicting when you have a good series, isn't it? I like to watch movies. Kira nodded her head, and you guessed she must like that too. I like to watch people. Oh, people watching is quite a unique hobby. I like to watch plays. That's very interesting. I like to watch stand-up comedy. Cool. And I like to write things as well. A fellow writer. Writing is a great form of expression, don't you think? Kira sighed wistfully, her eyes going soft. I like to hang out with people. Hey, it's nice to have friends and family to spend time with. I'm into music. I listen to a lot of it. I have an MP3 player at home that my mom helped me put some music on, and I've seen some concerts. Awesome. I don't really play any instruments. I'm into sports like... type of sport you play. Please don't capitalize or pluralize the word. Example, baseball. Soccer. Or football, depending on the country you're from. I play soccer. It's great. I like watching them too. Can be exciting, huh? And I go to the beach and I swim. Must be a pretty strong swimmer since you live so close to the ocean. I find the water a little scary, but I still like to dip my toes in sometimes. I like to walk along the shore as well. And that's a nice way to relax. I hope to be able to spend some time on the shore while I'm here myself. I like to look for seashells. I keep the best ones I find for my collection. I'm sure it's an incredible collection. I like to go... I wish I could surf. I want to surf. Oh, do you and Cove surf together? Kira looked at Cove expectantly, who mumbled something non-committedly and looked away again. And I like to build sandcastles. Sounds like a lot of fun. And I still spend some time studying. Studying in the summer? I have to admit, I don't know a lot of people who enjoy that, but hard work is the key to getting what you want in life. Mostly just summer assignments. Games are fun. I like to play board games. It's great, we shall play a game together sometime. I also like to play video games. I don't know much about them. Maybe you can show me sometime. I like card games as well. I like card games too. Maybe we can all play together sometime. And really into Cove. Kira left out a sudden laugh and Cove gasped beside you. It was dramatic enough inhale that you almost choked on his soda. You checked out the reactions. That's exactly why he said it. Luna! Cove whispered at you disapprovingly, obscuring part of his face with a hand, but Kira only waved him off and encouraged you to go on. And I'm only being honest. What better way to spend time than with Cove? Well, that's the thing we have in common. Kira smiled at Cove, who didn't look too impressed by either of you at that moment, and not really into fashion, so you didn't say anything.
Thanks.
I'm happy to learn more about you. There's so much I hadn't heard. Cove leaves the details out. He gives her a dirty look. Her eyes narrowed a little into thin slits. Hoping that would clear some tension in the air, you decided to ask Akira a few questions of your own. Cove hadn't told you much about her, and you're curious to know more about the woman who's been such a big part of his life. What exactly do you do for work? I'm a travel writer for magazines and things. I keep people in the loop on what's worth seeing. It's good work. Wow. So, are you in a new relationship now? Kira brushed the question off lightly. Not at the present. Where do you live normally? Nevada. Have you ever been there before? You shook your head. It's a beautiful place. Check it out if you can. So what do you like to do? Spend time with my little boy, of course, and traveling. Real shock, huh? Do I ask? I think I do. Why did you and Mr. Holton get divorced? Cove nudged you in the arm, and when you looked at him, he seemed furious. Kira brushed off the question lightly. It's grown-up stuff. You should enjoy your youth while you can, without having to worry about all that. Cove sipped his soda angrily, slurping up the remaining of the drink while with furrowed brows. He looked ready to run straight out of the restaurant. You weren't sure if what's coming along had ended up making lunch better or worse. You flicked the straw wrapper at him. The wrapper hit Cove on the nose, and you had to bite down your lip to keep from laughing. It was subtle, but you swore you could see the hint of a smile tinting at the corner of his lips.
Very cute.
You seem really cute together. Cove covered his face with his hands and leaned back in his seat.
Seriously?
Bob, why would you say that? Thanks, we are cute. Very. Your meals were delivered shortly after that, and everything was delicious. Even Cove enjoyed his food.
Okay.
Alright, now that we're all full and content, can you explain why... you've had a bite all day? Cove's face instantly returned to his scrunched form. Seriously, baby, what did Mom tell you to make you this mad? I haven't even been around a full day yet. He gripped the edge of the table, refusing to even make eye contact. The words he spoke were barely audible over the din of the restaurant. You could have told me. She leaned forward to not miss anything else, eyebrows raised. Told you what? He finally seemed to find his voice and spoke the thoughts that he'd been on his mind. That I wasn't going to visit you this year, that you were coming instead. You didn't invite me? You wanted me here with you? Cove's eyes began to shake, his frustration ebbed. I do want you to be around, but I didn't know it would be like this. It's not the same, and nobody said anything.
I see.
Expression grew tense. She threaded her fingers together and placed her hands in front of her around the table. Both men gifted another Clifford surprise. Referring to that as a Clifford surprise almost caused both you and Cove to crack a smile. You had no idea his name was just Cliff. Over 5 years, nobody ever called him Clifford until now. She smoothed her hair out and let go of her stern look. The more things change, the more they stay the same. They let out identical sighs, but smiled weakly at one another afterwards.
I'm sorry.
I can go home, Cove. We can still set up a normal trip to my place before the summer ends. Cove's lips tightly closed together. He seriously pondered this option.
I mean...
I think I do want you to stay. I miss you when you're not either. My heart. She reached across the gap, grabbed his face, and planted a kiss on his cheek. Cove tried to wiggle away. Mom, stop! I'm sorry. Such sweet young men need to be smooched by their parents. If they don't, they'll take away my mom's license. Kira was completely enthusiastic by Cove's admission, though a tone of seriousness did return to her voice when the conversation continued. Do you want to talk to your dad too?
No!
Cove snapped the word instantly, but reeled at his annoyance back in just as quickly. Maybe later, not today.
It's alright.
I understand, we can shelve it. Thanks, Mom. Thanks for talking to me, little mister. She grinned affectionately and before turning your way. And thank you, Luna. Huh? What did I do? It's easy to act like a baby with your mom. It's hard to keep that up with your neighbor watching everything. Especially when you really care about what said neighbor thinks of you. She winked. Mom! She ruffled his hair with a laugh, then moved her hand down to tap the end of his nose. And that was how the issue was resolved, at least between Cove and his mom. And when the three of you left the restaurant and Kira had paid the bill, you walked back to your neighborhood slowly. You had eaten so much by that time, you were beginning to feel sleepy. It didn't help that lunch had happened so late and the sun was already beginning to descend in the sky. But eventually you reached your streets. Someone was there to greet your group upon arrival. Welcome back, family, and Luna too.
Huh.
Cliff. Dad. The two of you walked past him into the condo without sparing another word. Despite that summer heat, their shoulders were cold. I'm in trouble. He rubbed the back of his neck with a crooked smile, but his eyes were soft as he looked on after them. He's so much like his mom, don't you think? gave a vague nod, not sure what he was expecting you to do. He nodded back far more energetically. Okay, have a nice night, Luna. You too, Mr. Holden. With that, Cove's dad disappeared to join the others inside. It was your turn to go home now. Some hadn't started off at all how you imagined. It would have, though, if it turned out to set the tone well. Having Kira in the neighborhood was a new experience for not only you and Cove, but for both of your families, and a dull moment was rarely had. And thank you for purchasing Derek's DLC. You can play 5 new moments centered around Derek. Also a special epilogue in Step 4 to unlock. You need to fulfill these conditions. Play out 5 Derek's DLC moments. Completing Story with Cove or by going alone is alright, so as long as you finish the moments. Choose to remain in touch with Derek during Step 3. And then you can have the option to play Derek's epilogue during Step 4. You can only have 1 epilogue per playthrough, though. And you can make a save on the epilogue section to reload there and pick another later. Derek's DLC can be friendship or romantic story. I will probably save and show you guys both of them. So I will save. With that, I hope you guys have a good day, night, week, month of your lives, and may the stars forever guide your path wherever they might lead you into the future. Bye, everybody, and see you next time.